Could you just say hi in the channel, by the way, in the Mentor Sessions channel?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so welcome everyone. This is the 19th episode of the Meteor University, formerly known as the Meteor Mentor Group Hangouts. And today it's Scott and I. I'm Sarkan, your host for today. We were hoping other people to join in, but it seems, there are time zone issues, so it's not like daytime all over the world. Some people are actually sleeping, so maybe we'll get over that fact sometime in the future. Anyhow, today we have some topics that a few of the guys from the channel wanted us to talk about, and I'm hoping they'll get a chance to watch this later on. And it's probably going to be some React, and a few people asked me about the forms library I've been using with, especially with simple schema, and that was Vasco uniforms. And I'll probably going to be talking more about that. In fact, Joel from the Slack channel asked me if I could do a live coding session, just get a basic form going, and maybe I'll try to do that as well. And if Scott here has some burning questions, we're gonna try also to answer those, and then we'll see how this goes. Okay, so Scott, could you introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, sure. I'm Scott. I'm from New York. I'm 26 years old. I've been learning Meteor probably about 8 to 9 months now, so fairly new at it. React as well, but I love it. I haven't looked back since, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, cool. So, what have you been doing in terms of programming for JavaScript and Meteor and React? I mean, what have you been using?
So I've just been going through all the basics. I've been trying to get back into web programming because Java was really my area of study when I went to school for programming. It was a little while ago, so I picked it up again, got into web, and I've just been going through tutorials and walkthroughs and stuff like that. Stephen Gritter, a bunch of his courses have really helped me out.
Yeah.
Lately, my first project has been like a web portfolio that I'm trying to just get everything up online and showcase everything. It's been cool. I've learned a lot. I really have. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice to hear. So, how would you describe your experience with Meteor so far, and maybe React?
Meteor is awesome. It's pretty intuitive to learn. I mean, there's an awesome community around it, so everyone's always down to help. I mean, this Slack channel has helped out a lot. It's just everything that I've pretty much hoped that it would be so far.
Well, this is actually refreshing to hear, given that some of the community are kind of frustrated about the directions taking. So have you had a chance to work with Blaze before, or Meteor plus React was it your first Meteor stack?
So I spent a decent amount of time when I first started, kind of like trepidating over that, like, oh, what do I do? Do I learn Blaze and then do I learn React later? Or so after a while, I kind of just decided that I would jump into all of it. If I was jumping into all of it at the same time, I might as well just throw React on top too. And I'm happy I did now. Maybe the first month or two I wasn't, because it was a little difficult to sift through all the Blaze packages about 8 months ago and React, and everyone was still kind of up in the air. But I'm happy I did now. I love React, to be honest.
Okay, I mean, it's actually nice to hear such things from someone actually, not into their full year with Meteor, and hearing things. People are having a hard time. They're claiming to be having a hard time with Meteor, and the constant change of the percepted constant change of reaction, so to speak, so direction. But yeah, I mean, you're only a few months in. I mean, not a year in, and then you're saying these things. This is actually quite nice to hear, because a lot of people are encouraged by how Meteor makes things easy, and a lot of people also are kind of discouraged about how Meteor makes them not as easy as it used to do. Yeah, I mean, your experience is actually important for other people to know, and this is actually something I'm stressing a lot. And oftentimes I'm saying Meteor is not going anywhere. It's it's actually the easiest JavaScript stack I've ever come to work with. It gets you going, it gets you the necessary basic tool set to get something off the ground and then start working on it, start coding on it, instead of juggling with all the configurations and stuff. And if you're into all those, then yeah, okay, by all means go with other build tools or other stuff. But Meteor actually does make it fun to code for me. So so this has always been my experience.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so all right. Huh. Okay, so I remember Joel asking us about uniforms and asking us if we could do some live coding, and if you're also up for it, Scott, maybe let's do something like that now. Take about, I don't know, 10-20 minutes to go through creating a basic React app and adding some forms to it using simple schema and uniforms. That might help a lot of people, get sift through the initial hurdles of getting such things up. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen here. Let's see, this is okay. So, okay, are you able to see my terminal in here now?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay, nice. So what I'm gonna do is I think I have a Scratchpad folder on my desktop. Yeah, I do. Okay, it's empty. So let's create a new Meteor app. Here, create is the command for this, and we'll give it a name, uniforms. Maybe a fitting name in here. Okay, so we're gonna wait for about a minute. Oh my God, there's something new with Meteor. Okay, so this is maybe probably the only kind of nuisance I always had with Meteor. It always wants to download the latest Meteor tool. It often does that in the background, but when you're creating a new app, it kind of goes out its way and fetches it for you. It's also a new thing. If you're starting on a new project, you probably want the latest and the greatest, which is also almost all the time a vetted version and a recommended version. So it's actually nice that it does that. So we are now creating our Meteor app. Nothing fancy, just a single command so far. It does not do this much downloading normally. So I want to say it again. This is just because there is a new version now that's not installed on my computer. It's getting that. And in the meantime, it's also setting up a basic folder structure for us to begin with. And that folder structure is going to give us a basic client and a server folder directory, and then a few files in them. And in Meteorland, the client directory is for anything that's built and sent to the client. The server directory is for anything that stays in the server. So let's see what we have in here. We have our project name now created as a directory. Now, if you see me into that, okay, what we have in here is about Meteor folder. It's actually an interesting folder. We're gonna take a quick peek into that, and then we have a client and a server folders. Let's just take first peek into the Meteor folder and see what is inside. The important part here is probably the packages file, because what it does is contains the Meteor packages that we are going to bundle with our app. They come from Atmosphere, Meteor's package repository. It works a lot like NPM. In fact, some NPM packages are also in there wrapped as native Meteor packages. But that's actually something optional now, because since version 1.3 of Meteor, like for a few months now, you are able to use NPM packages directly from NPM and import them into your client or server. So that's actually a refreshing opportunity for all Meteor developers out there. If you haven't begun doing so, you should actually switch as soon as possible. And within the packages directory, what's stored is the actual installed Meteor packages by the root of the project, and you can alter the contents of the files, that file, using the commands Meteor add or Meteor remove. But you can also actually edit the file yourself. let's see what's inside that file. So it's basically an initial list of packages that we can immediately start prototyping our app with. The only thing we're gonna want to remove from here is the Blaze HTML templates, because what we're gonna do here is work with React, and we're not gonna want to mingle Blaze and React together. That's something you certainly can do, especially if you're migrating from a Blaze app to a React app. But that's not what we're going to do today. And if you are able to stick to a single UI framework, either Blaze or React or Angular or whatever, you should probably do that, because mixing UI technologies is not always a great idea, because they kind of race each other to manipulate the DOM for you. Blaze and Angular and React are all very mature technologies, so they don't actually do that racing. But still, I mean, my personal preference is keeping things separate and as contained as possible. So, my technology, I think it goes through removing the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and remove now Blaze HTML templates. And this is just going to remove that line from the packages file, and also remove the package itself. Instead of that, we need to give Meteor some HTML love and support. So there's a package called static HTML for that, and now I'm going to install that. Meteor add static HTML. What this does is allow Meteor to recognize an HTML file and serve it as your entry content. And the JavaScript and CSS for our application is going to be actually hosted from that file, from reference to hosted from that file. So let's take another look at that file to see our changes. And yeah, there was this Blaze HTML templates here. It's now gone, and then we have static HTML. It's not added at the end of the file. You can go ahead and organize this file however you like, group them, and I especially like grouping my my packages into kind of their tasks and their what they provide me. For example, I put UI things together, and I put server-side packages together, etc. So. Oh, by the way, a recent change introduced in one of the recent versions of Meteor was actually pinning down package versions in the packages file. It used to do that in the versions file. It still does it. The versions file is actually why Meteor build is always repeatable, because whatever the version, or even a lack of version from a file in a packages file in this, makes no change to how your app builds, because you already have a versions file which displays all of the installed packages, all of their dependencies, and all of their pinned versions, so that if other people pick up this project and Meteor runs it, they use the exact same versions of the packages. So let's take a quick peek at that file. As you see, this is a much longer version of that file, sorted alphabetically. These are all of the packages that either you have installed using your packages file, or the packages folders, or maybe those packages have required as their own dependencies. So all these files are actually, all these packages are actually now installed in our project. So I'll just go up now and take also a look at. I'm gonna open this up in my IDE, so that instead of trying to work through this in the terminal, we have a much better view of it. I'm now gonna open that and switch over to. Okay, I'm now gonna stop sharing this screen and switch over to my IDE. For anyone interested out there, I'm using WebStorm as my IDE. Oops, sorry. I Did I share it on you? Yeah, that was the terminal again. Sorry for that. Okay. So I'm using WebStorm as my IDE. I mean, you could use any text editor or any IDE. Especially Atom is really popular among Meteor developers. Well, my preference is actually based on the fact that WebStorm is actually quite capable of refactoring, and I find myself refactoring a lot of projects, down the line, even after my first week, even after my first month. I take some time to take a look at the project, lean back and see how I would have organized things better, and go ahead and do that. And WebStorm is actually quite capable of doing that for you, moving files around, updates all of their references, renaming stuff is really easy. And refactoring is a very powerful asset that WebStorm brings into my tool chain. So if you guys haven't had a chance to work with it yet, it's actually available as a free download for 30 days. It's actually a commercial product. You have to pay for it. You have to pay for it annually. If that's not your thing, I'm sorry, but I think that actually it pays for itself for me. So okay. Anyhow, we have a JS file in here, and this is like lots of. Oh, I need to actually change my project settings so that it knows that I'm going to be dealing with React, and gonna take this. So now I'm gonna remove everything in this file because I'm not gonna include any of them. HTML. Okay, so these are all Blaze templates, and I'm not gonna be using Blaze templates, so I'm just gonna remove those as well. In React, what I'm gonna need is a target in the DOM for React to render everything. So I give it a root. So this is going to be my root, and I'm gonna give it an ID so that I can properly select it using JavaScript. And some people tend to use body as their React root. Just avoid doing that. That's not a good thing to do, because the body is the topmost level, and it's going to be required for other libraries to do other stuff. And the virtual DOM is not really actually quite happy with it either. It's not erroring out or anything, but it's a best practice to allow for some extra room in your app, so that you just contain everything within a div, not the body itself. So let's name this uniforms, and within our okay. So before we go, doing that, we need to actually install React. We don't have React yet. So this is our package JSON, and we are going to go ahead and install React from npm. First time React was introduced into Meteorland, it was actually an Atmosphere package wrapped. But now, since we have full npm support, oh hey, we have someone joined in. Welcome, Emil. Okay. So I'm now going to do what any JavaScript developer would do to add React to their application, and I'm going to do npm install -- save React and React stop. But before hitting enter, I'm going to change the command a little bit, and instead of using npm, I'm going to use the command meteor npm. So this is something a few of the Meteor developers I've met actually don't know, so I want to go over it for a few minutes. Meteor is actually a build tool that gives you everything. So if you have Meteor installed, you don't have to have anything else installed. You don't have to have MongoDB installed. It's already there for you. You don't have to have Node.js installed. Some people tell other people to install Node. You really don't need to do that. You need to somehow access Node outside the context of Meteor. Well, yeah, okay, go ahead and do that. But if you're not going to do that, Meteor actually provides you a stable, recent actually version of Node and npm. So using Meteor npm or Meteor Node gives you a very powerful tool, which is the ability to use the same Node and NPM version across your projects and across your teammates. So anyone using the same Meteor version as you do actually works with the same Node and NPM versions as you do. So you don't have to have NVM or other tools like that installed, or ask around your teammates which version of Node they have been using. And if you come across some bugs based on the version dependencies, etc., you're not gonna have you're not gonna make your life harder with such differences. Meteor wraps everything nicely for you. So as soon as you install Meteor, you have a full development and actually production stack at hand. So I'll go ahead and install save and React and React DOM into my application, and this is going to add a few lines to my package.json. Yeah, it just picked up the changes. As you see now, I have React and React DOM. Oh, by the way, 15.3.1 is out now. They have fixed a few outstanding bugs, and they have introduced some performance changes. So if you haven't updated your React yet, go ahead and do so. You're not going to regret it. It's not breaking or anything, so you can actually use this version. All right. Now we have React installed, and we have a render target in our HTML. We are done with these two, and what we're going to do is start, creating our basic first component and render it in our page. So the first thing we're going to need to do is import React from React, obviously, and then let's say we have let's see, we're going to work with a class, or let's say this is just hello world. Well, let's uniform. Hello. This extends React that component. Or instead of doing it like this, what you could actually do is also import component from React, so you don't have to write React that component all the time. And our class needs a render function, and the render function will probably return something like if perhaps, and I'll say hello from so this is a basic component, but we haven't rendered that on the page yet. So let's go ahead and do that. At Meteor startup, in order to use Meteor, it's better to explicitly import. You don't have to, but it is better to explicitly import Meteor from Meteor slash Meteor. Anything installed as an atmosphere package, as a Meteor package, is namespaced under Meteor slash. So that's the way Meteor handles importing stuff from as Meteor packages. Okay, someone just warned me about font size. Let's see what I can do about that. I'm sorry, guys. This is I have actually never zoomed in. Okay. Oh, I have not been able to zoom in, have I? Okay, let's increase font size. Oh yeah. Sorry guys, I really don't know the shortcut to this, because this is something I've never done before. I never needed to increase my font size. Is this okay? Scroll from the Slack channel. Give me a thumbs up or something, or you want me.
Looks good for me too. That's better.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, thanks. All right. Okay. So we have imported Meteor, and we have imported React and component, and we need to render something, so we need to import render from React DOM. So this is another thing we need, and that's about it. Now we are able to actually go ahead in Meteor Startup and actually render something on the page. And the way to render something on the page is the render command. We just import it, and the render command accepts whatever you want to render, and we want to render the uniform hello component. And it also asks us where we want to get that rendered, and it's actually in the document, and implement by ID, and the ID of the element was, let's check our main HTML, it was named uniforms. So uniforms is the ID of the render side that we have. So let's see what we have right now. Let's see if it's gonna run. I'm gonna do a meteor run, and it's gonna compile our initial version and show us it as at localhost column 3000. It's gonna take a little while to compile. So this is something some Meteor developers complain about. It takes a little time to compile a Meteor project, and especially every time you hit Control S or Command S and save something, it's gonna take you about at least 30-40 seconds, even up to a minute in a decently sized project. The first time it runs, it's actually building a lot of stuff. The consequent runs are much faster, but still, I've been working with projects which compile around like a minute, up to a minute. So if you need something that makes everything faster for you, you might want to look at things like Gadi Cohen's package. It was named Hot. And or there's a Webpack package in Atmosphere, so it makes it much easier to install Webpack into your application and use that as your build tool instead of Meteor's default build tool. Webpack is much faster for building, especially with hot module replacements and stuff. But maybe we'll look at that at a later time. So I'm gonna switch over to my browser here now. I wish I would have shared the entire screen with you guys, but I'm not able to do that because I have like 4 monitors in here, and sharing the entire screen shares all those monitors. So I'm gonna have to, switch. So, all right, we have our first React component rendered on the page, and so we have no errors in the console, so we are good to go with our uniform setup. All right, for our uniform setup, I'd like to refer you guys to the actual README of uniforms. This is located at github.com/vasco/uniforms. I'm going to paste this URL in our Slack channel. And it's actually really quite straightforward to work with this guy. This is, if you're coming from Blaze, and if you are used to working with simple schema, or if you're not coming from Blaze, but you are actually using simple schema for other purposes, like for example, MDG's validated methods is quite coupled with simple schema. I mean, it's not mandatory, but it is. Much better to use it with that. And I mean, you'll find yourself using simple schema in almost all your Meteor apps. So especially if you're working with MongoDB, it's a lifesaver. It makes your life much easier. It makes your application much more predictable, and it makes everything. It makes debugging easier, etc. So if you haven't done so, you should definitely take a look at simple schema. And having said that, let me just go ahead and install simple schema on my terminal here. I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to share that with you at the same time. But what I'm going to do is Meteor add, since I'm adding that from Atmosphere now. I'll be on simple-schema. And by the way, Aldi has published a new version of simple schema. It's currently beta, I think. It's now published on NPM. And in fact, when you add it from Atmosphere, it goes ahead and installs it from NPM for you. But it's also encouraged. He encourages us to use simple schema directly from NPM because it's the way to go. That's also the way Meteor is going to go. But I'm not going to go there right now because I think it's not a stable 2.0 release yet. So I'm going to stick to what we have in Atmosphere right now, and it's something 1.5 or something. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and see what simple schema is all about. I'm not going to go through that right now. I'm assuming you have at least some basic knowledge of simple schema. It's just a wrapper for your MongoDB collections. It provides you validation. It provides you the ability to describe your data. And what uniforms does is especially take that and use that as an input to creating forms. And by the way, uniforms is not a simple schema dependent library. You can use uniforms without simple schema. I haven't done so. There are other libraries out there like Redux forms, which is really far more popular than uniforms in React land. The reason I'm using uniforms is basically I'm using simple schema in most of my Meteor apps. So it feels like a natural fit. And I have been an avid user of Autoform with Blaze. And I was looking for the same simplicity, same power, and the same level of integration with simple schema. So that I don't have to wire up extra validations and stuff all the time. I just want to reuse a minimal amount of code to create my forms and validate my inputs. So that's why I chose to go with uniforms. And uniforms developer, Radek, is really one of the most responsive guys I've ever seen out there. Anything you put there is a ticket. It definitely gets replied to if that's a feature request, and that really does make sense. You really see a new release in maximum a few days. I've sometimes seen him release a couple of releases within the same day. I mean, he's that much responsive about his package. And he's also accepting community improvements and PRs. He's really open to working together with other people, and he actually likes that. So if you want to go ahead and use uniforms, please do so, and please hang around at their GitHub issue tracker, and try to contribute and try to at least post your issues there, ask your questions there. And he's currently working on a very extensive documentation, and it's going to make everything even better. So, okay, having plugged that one a lot, since obviously I love it, let's go ahead and add that to our application. So there's a lengthy README there. Don't be intimidated by that. It's really easy to understand, really easy to grasp. What I'm going to do now, switch over to my IDE and just actually follow the instructions in the README. Nothing special. I'm not going to be adding anything extra because the guy already did the hard work. So I'm going to go ahead and install uniforms. So the way to do that is meteor npm --save, npm install --save, so that it does actually update our packages file, and we install uniforms. Uniforms comes with a variety of styles. Extra package uniforms is the base package, which provides all the forms functionality and the component functionality. And there are extra packages for visual components and their styling. So a few of them are Uniforms Bootstrap 3, Uniforms Bootstrap 4, Uniforms Symantec for Semantic UI, and Uniforms Unstyled. And I'm going to go ahead and use Uniforms Unstyled in here because I'm not going to dabble along with styling nuisances. Maybe if we have some more time later on, we can take a look at that. But I mean, I've been using uniforms unstyled in my projects because I haven't needed to use something like Bootstrap or Semantic. I've relied on custom styles for them up to now. So yeah, there you go. I'm going to be using that. But it's really easy to create your own components, create your own styles. You can use whatever form style framework or CSS framework you want, because uniforms components are really easy to just override, create your own components. It's not like Autoform. Autoform also had a great API, but it was kind of hard and cryptic and too verbose to find a way to create your own templates, your own components. You had to be a little experienced with autoform before being able to create your own autoform components, but with uniforms, it's really quite easy. So I'm just going to go ahead and use uniforms and uniforms-unstyled now. And this is going to update our package JSON file and install its own dependencies. It depends on Lodash. By the way, that's a matter of debate at the moment. I think Radek is trying to understand if he needs Lodash for the actual next release. Maybe he's gonna just remove it from the dependencies. Maybe he's not. We'll just see about that. But the way he uses Lodash is actually the minimum amount of Lodash importing. So it's not like it's bringing in a host of JavaScript to your client. It's just really lightweight. Anyhow, now we have uniforms in our application, and I'm really following the quick start guide. And so what we need to do is first import simple schema in our application. And I'll do that from feature dash LD and simple schema. So this is the way to import from Atmosphere packages. The Meteor namespace comes first, and then a slash, and then the package maintainers handle in Atmosphere, and then the full package name. And you can actually import these into your application directly. So if you go ahead and use the import structure and ES6 modules, and this is basically what I'm doing now. What I'm not using the full imports directory approach. So this is because this is just a very basic application. You can go ahead and use full ES 2015 modules. Meteor has full support for that. Anyhow, let's move on. Now I'm going to create schema. So person schema is the example given in the README in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm just actually going to copy over the code instead of typing that all in. So a person is composed of a name, consists of a name and an age. Name is type of string, and we require at least 3 letters for it to be valid, and maximum 50 for it to be valid. And we need a number field for an age, and it can be 0 and up to 150. Let's make that let's make this an adults only site. Let's not accept grandpa in here. So let's just stop somewhere around 45. Oh, say 40. 40 is new 30. I'm 40, by the way, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it 60, or I'm gonna feel really bad about myself. So long names. I mean, well, yeah, there are some countries like South America where they have like names this long, so I'm gonna allow for that. And yeah, we have a schema. So this describes our data. Anytime you want to validate a collection that goes through this, it will require you to have a name, an age, and nothing else. So, so this is a person schema, and then now we're gonna use this person schema to create. Oh, sorry. Oh, he also has a post example. Okay, let me copy over that code, and I'm gonna go over that. But we have a person schema, and now we have a post schema. So it's obviously going to be a blog post or something. So it's going to have some categories in it. A category is a string, and a simple schema has a property called allowed values. Allowed values validates the input for category against these values, and it doesn't accept anything else. It has to be news, image, or video, and it's also required. And authors is of type. It's an area of person, so that means the authors field has to have at least one author, which is a name and an age object. And we can have at most 3 people. And published date is a date, and published is a Boolean field, which is optional, so it doesn't have to be in there. And if it is, it's going to be true or false. Okay. Now let's import AutoForm into our application. And I actually love the naming too, because in AutoForm, the naming was AutoForm, and you can go ahead and use the same conventions as naming, and this will give you an out-of-box form. And we're gonna, since it's coming from npm, so this is from and uniforms. So the component library was the uniforms-unstyle library. I'm gonna go import from that. And now I'm going to create the component. So const post create form. So this is so as you see, forms do not have to be full classes, because you can use functional components in your React app. And it's actually, you are encouraged to use as much functional components as possible, unless you need component lifecycle methods or internal component state. So so this is our first component in here. This is an error function. You haven't learned about them yet. So this is basically a JavaScript function. And what we're going to do is use the AutoFront component. And here's the fun part. We don't have to do anything else. We just need it to provide a schema to this. So the name of the schema was the post schema. We're going to use that schema, and when it submits, we want that to accept the document and pass it on to whatever you want it to do. And you just want it to console.log the passed document, and that's it. So at this point, we have a form. And if you don't believe me, let's run this app now. Oops. I cannot type. Something's going on with my terminal, so I'm gonna terminate it. Yeah. Okay. When we Meteor run, it's going to bundle up everything, and it's hopefully going to run. Oh, sorry, we haven't. Guys, please, when you see me doing stupid things, just tell me that I'm doing stupid things, because what I missed is I have actually not included this in our application yet. So when we run the application, what we are going to see is the exact same thing we just saw before, the hello world message. So instead, I'm gonna use it in the app, and you know what? I'm gonna call that for my class and render it in this div, so that we actually see the nesting going on. What was the name, guys? Post create form. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm gonna switch over to my browser, and oops, I'm really bad at this. Oh yeah, here it is. Yep, this is our browser, and let's refresh this. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. I have a problem with ordering things. I now put post create form at the top, so that I can actually use that for my class. If I did, oops. Okay, I'm going to switch over to my application and show you what I did wrong in there. Okay, you are able to see it, right? Okay. So my mistake in there was I have actually not returned this thing. I just did this, but instead I should have returned this from the function. So this is not a matter of ordering. I'm sorry about that. This is a matter of this. So putting a top level element right after the arrow actually returns that top level element. What I could also do is put that whole thing in parentheses, or another way to return what would be to open up the function body and then actually return it. So return it like this, or even maybe use it without the parents. So these are alternative ways of returning something from your function. I like being explicit with these. So I want to return it like this. I mean, I know this is not as short as just arrow and then writing autoform the return component in there, the DOM element, but I want to use it like this because oftentimes I find myself needing stuff like putting something in here, making a little calculation and stuff. So instead of doing that much refactoring, I go ahead and do it like this so that it's explicitly returned in there, and I know that it's being returned as that. Otherwise, it may be a little cryptic to other developers. So yeah, okay. So this is how it's going to be running right now, and I'm going to switch over to my browser again for you to be able to see the actual horrific looking app we just created. So so we have a category, news, image, video. This is the exact autoform behavior from our leads, Blaze autoform. It takes the values from the allowed values. You can obviously override that using the select component and its properties. Let's make this an image, and we can add and remove lines. So this was an array. If you remember, the authors was at a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 3 authors that we can input into our application. So a name would be probably hey there, age of 20, and something else, and age of 5, and we need a publish date. This is an HTML5 input. This is an unstyled thing. Obviously, you could use styled bootstrap components and stuff. So this is the publish date, and this is an optional field. I'm going to go ahead and submit. Oh yeah, we have some errors. So age must at least be 18 here. I'm going to make that 18. Oops, one of the errors goes away. Published date is required. It has to be a full layout date. Yeah. Okay, so what gives? Is this a bug, guys? What do you think? I've never used the HTML5 bare bones component before. Maybe it's... Does anyone have an idea about this?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know? Yeah, it's actually quite puzzling for me too, because the schema allows for date, and it's input in there. Maybe there's some nuisance in there, so I'm not gonna lose time with that. I'm gonna remove the published date from here and just save it. It reloads, and let's make the author. Author is like 40 years old. Ugh, old guy. And this is published. This is the image. Oh yeah. Now, since we told our autoform to actually go ahead and log this in the console. That's what we did. It's a document as validated. It's a validated document. As you see, we did not see this before when we had errors in there. So let's make this like 12 again. We cannot submit it. Even if we were able to submit it, we would not be able to receive this output in the console. Let's make that an adult. Yeah, so here is our object. The authors array. It has one author in there, and the category is image, and it's published true. So this is the way it actually works. Of course, this is a very basic autoform. We allowed it to do everything automatically for us. But the good thing is, even though this is the quick and dirty implementation, uniforms allows for uh, anything you want to actually do, because it's really powerful. It's both very easy on the one end of the spectrum, and it also goes as far as the very end of the very end of the spectrum again, and gives us all the necessary bells and whistles to fine grain handle our forms. So let's see what we have. We have actually more than one forms component. The one we used was autoform, but there's something called base form, which if you wanna use uniforms as a library and then create your own forms framework based on top of this, you can actually go ahead and do that. Or if you want to maybe create some forms which share some common functionality that's common in your app, that's specific your app. Maybe you could use base form. You could extend from base form and create your own forms on forms. Oh, Joel's going. So see you later, Joel. Make sure to watch this later on, because we're gonna continue on this maybe a little bit more. And then you could use base form to it's actually really very powerful. You could use quick form. That's another form component that gives you a self-generated form, but it's not managed and it's not self-validated. But then there's a validated form, which is self-validated, and then there's a validated quick form, which is self-generated, self-managed, and not self-managed but self-validated. So this may sound a little confusing to you. So let me just first say this: 99% of the time you're going to be using autoform, and if you find you want to override the internal mechanics of how uniforms handle form submissions, then you may actually want to use another type of form in there. And then there are some components you can use in their forms. You have auto fields, which basically maps a field's internal simple schema type to a field type, so that it's automatically created for you. As you saw, we had a date input, or we had a number input, we had an array input, etc. We did nothing to tell uniforms to decide what to render in there. It was clever enough to understand what we are trying to do and render the correct components. But you don't have to use it like that. You could use individual fields like Boolean fields, date fields, and you have individual error field and errors field, which shows all of the errors in there. Or you can use hidden fields, list fields, etc., etc. So there's a host of fields in there. You could even take a field and just modify it slightly, or you could perhaps take it in, wrap it, and extend it, and provide another field of yours. It's really quite easy to do. And actually, I'm gonna give you a glimpse of what those things look like. I'm gonna go into packages, uniforms unstyle, and this is something I do quite a lot. I usually take one of the components in here, and I usually take the text field as a base of my components. See, this is it. This is all about it. This is an HTML structure, by the way, nothing fancy. And if our component has a label prop, it prints in label, and otherwise it just goes ahead and just prints an input field. And the only interesting thing going on is the onChange event. We are mapping the actual onChange in our field, which we can provide as a prop in this, and which actually uniforms provides. OnChange comes from the uniforms base code form component and handles this for you. And then all the others are just basically any HTML prop you will see out there. Nothing special, nothing fancy. You just don't forget to use this. This is the heart of the binding, and then this is the heart of the actual implementation, the connect field. This connect field thing, it comes from uniforms itself. What it does is connects your field, the component you created, to autoform, and that's it. And as soon as you do this, you have a custom field. So imagine how easy it would be for you to, I don't know, maybe you are using something like blah blah CSS next something, only like 10 people use in there, and you're one of those 10 people, and you love your CSS framework, and you want to be able to stick to that, markup and classes and stuff, and there's nothing holding you up. You can just copy over this and fix the markup and the styling, and there you go. You have your own form components immediately. That's it. That's all about it. I really encourage you to take a look at the source code for this. I mean, looking at the Aldi Blaze Autoform source code would be a little confusing because it had to do a lot of the data context handling and stuff. But this, I mean, this is the easiest it can go. This is just an HTML structure. It's an input. All these other things are also, not mandatory. This is the only thing you're gonna need to create your component, and that's it. And this is a form input. So it cannot go any simpler than that, because anything simpler than that is not a form component. So I really encourage you guys to take a look at the source code to base your own components off of these, and it's really easy to maintain. Anyhow, I'm gonna move on this README a little bit more. So instead of using the auto form, you can actually go ahead and create your forms using these fields. And instead of using these APIs, autosave is a feature where instead of submitting the form is actually submitted as you type along. This is like if you are creating an app where you don't want people to click buttons to submit data, maybe just click to edit kind of functionality. Autosave is your guy here, and on submit is the only feature you're gonna probably use, because what on submit does is actually takes the doc and passes into any function you want. So it may be something like persons.insert something. It can be console.log. It can be email.send. You can even send emails, like, or call a method, whatever you want, or a function in your application, anything. So it's that easy. Well, the only thing that this doesn't provide is automatic insertion into collections, but there's a reason for that. The Uniforms developer actually wants you to be able to do it on your own, so that you know how to bind your form to your data. But it's actually very easy for you to do. You can extend base component and create your own auto-submitting component or something, whatever fancy name you want to give that, and provide an automatic on-submit function yourself. You can provide it a collection prop, and you can actually make it collection.insert doc, and that's really easy for you to do if you want to make autoform behave more like the original autoform. So maybe that's an exercise you want to work with. Maybe one of you guys want to do a blog post about it. I'd really be thrilled to read that. And yeah, these are some advanced topics you may want to take a look at, but you really don't need any one of these, because you have actually seen all you want to you need to see, and these are all about it. I'm not going to scroll anymore to get you dizzy. There's a docs in here, and the docs also provide you a lot of stuff to work with. And I think there used to be an example. Yeah, there's an examples folder in here. So this is great. You can actually let's take a look at the Bootstrap example. See, you just import from Bootstrap, and this is it. There's a okay. Let me show you what that is. Common.js. So this is the schema in here, and the example is a component that you don't have to look at. These are all like fancy documentation stuff. Okay, all right, yeah. This is okay. I'm sorry, I'm confusing you. I think I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna go back here. This is a little more advanced than I thought it would be. But yeah, I mean, what we did here as our own example was actually the thing to get you going. What we would have otherwise done is, maybe I'm just going to switch over to my IDE again once more. Instead of using autoform like this, you could have probably uh, let's close this, and yeah, well, we had let's work on a very simple form. Let's work on what's going on here. Okay, so let's get rid of the post schema. Let's work on person schema, name and age. Let's change this to person schema. We're going to be, I think I have forgotten to close something somewhere. Render comments. Oh. You guys actually see what the problem here is? What did I do? I messed something up. You guys catch it?
Nothing I see.
Okay. I'm gonna start from scratch. I'm gonna take this person schema as well, and I'm gonna create a person creator and person form. So I'm using person schema. All right. So instead of using form like this, I'm gonna use it like this. And this is another function. This is a component. Why is it yelling at me? You guys have any idea? Closed. Closed. This is also closed. There's something I am missing here. This is something very trivial, but I'm actually blind at this right now. Why? Even more. Okay, so no one's telling me this. Really, guys, please help me out in here. You see what I did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this happened. So, however much experience you have with things, you always do these dumb mistakes. So don't feel bad about this. This happens to you every day, every time. Anyhow, what I'm gonna do is actually show you how to use the individual field components themselves. As you saw, there's something called the text field, and I'm gonna go ahead and import that. We have text field we could use. And what we need is a name. From the person schema, we're going to use the name is going to be name. And I'm going to use another text field for age. In fact, I'm going to explicitly use num field for number. So I'm going to change this to num field. And instead of age, okay, this is going to be age. So what I did now is explicitly create the form myself. Instead of relying on the full auto form, I did things on my own. Now I'm going to switch back to the browser one more time to show you that it's actually working. See, all I did was instead of using the magical auto form, I just wanted some extra control in my application and provided these myself. But of course, I also need a submit field for this now. So what I'm going to do is, oh, I'm not going to use a submit field. I'm going to change this to autosave true. You remember the prop we just saw in the README? So instead of rendering a submit button, I'm going to tell my form to submit everything automatically for me. So, okay, but before doing that, I need to take a quick look at, sorry guys. I'll also need to have an autosave delay property in there. Okay. Okay, and I have my own subnets. I oops. So what I lacked here was the errors. So I'm going to go ahead and also render an errors field in there so that we know what's going on. Errors field. Okay, so in the form I have an errors field right now. Okay, so write my name in here. Pages required. Pages 1. Must be at least 18. Now it is 18. And it auto-saved my form. So it actually run my submit function in here. So I received a name and an age. So the thing I like about this is the ability to, style. I'm going to switch once more to my IDE to show you what I did in there. Okay, what I added was the autosave prop. So that it actually saves my form without a submit button. I could have actually used the submit button in there, but I just don't want to do it. I want to make it a buttonless form. And I put an autosave delay so that it doesn't save every time I change something. I just want to wait about a second so that I can actually finish typing. This is a debounce and throttle function. And I have a text field explicitly given, a number field explicitly given, and then errors field so that I actually am able to see the errors in my form. So name must at least be 3 characters and stuff. So it actually validates my form as soon as I update stuff. And yeah, this is the way to create forms explicitly. We could have done this using Bootstrap or Semantic UI, either 3 or 4 of Bootstrap versions. And we could have overridden all these stylings or using any styling library we have, and that would still be basically the same code. So if I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. If you are kind of intimidated by all of this stuff, I do encourage you to go take a look at the README from Uniforms and take a look at the examples folder in there. A new documentation is coming up. It's not ready yet, but it is coming up. It's going to be much better than the existing README, but it's still quite extensive. Don't forget that you're going to need to read through the like 1/3 of the README only, and the next 2/3 are going to be for rather advanced stuff that you will want to take a look at after your first few days with Uniforms. When you are more familiar with how maybe create your own text field with some certain styling and certain markup, you should definitely do that, and you will immediately see how easy it is to create your own form components using Uniforms if you don't want to rely on the existing components. And once you do that, you can go ahead and read the rest of the README in there, and you're going to be able to see that there's even more power in the library to do other stuff. So yeah, I think I actually need to wrap up now. We are way over our 1 hour limit here. I'm not gonna want to bore you guys to death. And Scott, you have any question?
No. I'm excited to dive in. It's pretty cool. It's a lot more extensive
I'm,
than I thought
I'm
it was.
really okay. I'm really happy that I wasn't talking to myself alone here. So thank you for sitting this through with me. I
Thank you.
love that you did
Thank you
that.
for taking the
Thank
time.
you. Okay, so I'll see you in the Slack channel. If you have any questions, just ping me in there or ping any of the other guys. I'm sure they're going to be happy to digging around in this uniforms and answering other people's questions. And if you or anyone else wants to create at least I mean maybe a very short uniforms blog post, to pay back for this session,
Yeah,
maybe.
sure.
I really love that if that happened. And if you cannot do it, don't worry about it. But if you can, I'd really love that. So yeah, that's it. I mean, until the next session, take care. You, Scott, and everyone else who's watching.
It's,
See you guys.
have a good Sunday.